Hello everyone, it's Jamarl Thomas. Welcome to the Progressive Soapbox. So Elizabeth Warren she's gone through her hot phases, she goes through her cold phases in regards to the left. She had a speech. Oh, I liked it. I liked it a lot. This was the Elizabeth Warren of old. Now, there's one thing to understand about Elizabeth Warren. She's a politician. So yes, when Bernie Sanders is running in the election against Hillary Clinton and Democrats, she knows the fix is in. She knows the fix is in. And she decides not to support Sanders, believing that Hillary Clinton was likely going to win. And that if Hillary Clinton won and she supported Sanders, she would have been frozen out in the far end of the party. I suspect she believed that she can get more influence by taking a particular position that was against what she herself got across as being her value system. I put it that way. That being said, Elizabeth Warren has also told a particular line, has always told a particular line, meaning whatever you want to think of her as a politician and whatever you want to think in the sense of being annoyed by it, what she did in the primaries and in the sense of not supporting Sanders. And again, the reason why this becomes an issue is if you tell me your value system is X, and the guy who's standing beside you has a value system of X, and you're supporting the candidate with a value system of Y, then what's the other reason? There has to be some other reason. That other reason, what I'm making the point is, that's politics. That's the, I can't support X because it's going to be disadvantageous for me as a politician to support X right now, so I'm going to support Y because I think later on I'll be in a better position. This is just game theory. What does a person want? How does a person get it? What does a person have it that is supposed to get what they want? That being said, Elizabeth Warren has also been very particular about finance, meaning one of the reasons she was a darling of progressives is because she was balls out against the banks. She was an unapologetic progressive in regards to financial stuff, whether it be taxes, whether it be corporations, whether it be banks. She was not shy of getting across how she felt. And if you remember, she was the person who was supposed to head up the financial thing, the Consumer Financial Bureau. Her bona fides are there. It's just the other part, the politics, that's the part that bugs the shit out of progressives. When she had her interview with Cenk Uygur, there was a lot of stuff I wish Cenk Uygur would have asked. And there's a lot of stuff I wish he would have followed up on. Whether he realizes it or not, being softball with her hurts her in that interview. It would have allowed her to get certain things off her chest that otherwise, that people were asking, people wanted to know, that I know she might not have wanted to venture into, but she should have ventured into. Now, in this case, this is the Elizabeth Warren of old. This is the Elizabeth Warren, I think, in the natural state, meaning this is how I think she naturally is, at least with regards to this aspect of left politics. I'm going to read some of this because this created a bit of a, put it this way, it was significant enough and strident enough and rebellious enough where it created a bit of an uproar. Let's put it that way. This is Common Dreams. In a wide-ranging and fiery keynote speech last weekend at the 12th Annual Netroots Nation Conference in Atlanta, Georgia, Senator Elizabeth Warren, Democrat from Massachusetts, relentlessly derided moderate Democrat pundits calling for the party to move back to the center and declared that Democrats must unequivocally fight for progressive solutions to our nation's challenges. That is, pundits calling for the Nation Party. She relentlessly derided. Essentially, she's going after the people who say the party should tack to the center. That's an amazing thing to me. Like, what is the center? What is this mythical center that they're talking about? You have progressives who want the country to move in a particular direction. That country being what's best for the people of the country. And look, and I'm saying that somewhat as a flat fact. What are the things that help the human beings in your particular country? That's what progressives want. Whether it be healthcare, whether it be education, what are the things that helps the people in your country? What gives them an easier and a better life? Not being exploited, but what helps them? Those are the policies. You have the other wing of the party who says, look, man, we need cash to get elected. We need cash to get elected. So we're going to be centrist. We're going to say one thing, meaning we're going to talk about progressive things and stuff like that. But we're leaning to the right because those guys pay us. She's making the point that that's not the way to go about this. That ultimately, tacking back to the left is why you lose so much. You've lost everything. You've lost everything. Elizabeth Warren has a point. How do you lose to soften and continue to do the same strategies? As the Hill Annie Perez reported on Friday, Warren's assertion during the weekend gathering that progressives are the heart and soul of today's Democratic Party and not merely a quote-unquote wing raised the ire of so-called moderate Democrats who have insisted that progressive policies won't sell in swing states. But recent survey results have consistently shown that policies like single-payer health care, progressive taxation, higher minimum wage, tuition-free public college are extremely popular among a broad electorate. Senator Bernie Sanders, most prominent advocate of an ambitious, far-reaching progressive agenda, has consistently polled as the most popular politician in the country. Just to put a finer point on that, 60% of people polled, Gallup poll, says corporations and upper income pays too little. You don't say. Most Americans say raising higher minimum wage will help workers, and nearly half want to see a $15 hour minimum wage. Proposals to raise the minimum total wage. 60% of Americans supported $10 federal wage, $10.10 federal minimum wage. 59% support $12. 48% support $15. Huh, you don't say. Giving people more money makes them happier, and they would support those things. You don't say. 62% of Americans say they support making public college free for anyone who wants to attend, according to a survey by Bankrate, which polled 1,000 people in late July. I'm just trying to make this point that it's not about what's popular. It has nothing to do with what's popular. It's not that the country has all of a sudden shifted. So yeah, people do change sometimes. But what took place was the party changed. There's a difference in those things. When people say, I didn't leave the Democratic Party left me, that's what they're talking about. When Howard Dean, lobbyist, Howard Dean, the one who sold out, or who grew up and sold out, that guy, the one who was calling progressives whiny, that guy, when he said, I'm from the Democratic wing of the Democratic Party, that brought the house down. He's making this point that you're supposed to represent things like this. This is supposed to be who you are, philosophically and fundamentally. The guy who has to call himself a socialist to create a distinction between who you are and who he is what you are philosophically supposed to be as a Democrat. The reason you are not those things, it's not because they're not popular. It's not because they're not popular. Specifically, Warren took aim at a recent New York Times op-ed by Democrat commentators Mark Penn and Andrew Stein, who argued that Democrats must moderate their positions in order to take back Congress and ultimately the presidency. You've lost everything! You've lost everything! And you've lost everything being moderates. You've lost everything being moderates. Nobody's going to vote for a milquetoast Democrat who doesn't know what they're supposed to be. You spent $21 million on Ossoff. $21 million. To get a guy to look as close to a Republican as possibly a man can. And they picked the real Republican. It's not that the real Republicans are all that good. But between somebody who don't know who they are and somebody who absolutely knows who they are, they're going to choose the latter. The Democratic Party isn't going back to the days of welfare reform and crime bill, Warren said. We're not going back to the days of being lukewarm on choice We're not going back to the days when universal health care was something Democrats talked about on the campaign trail, but were too chicken to fight for after they got elected. Whew. And Warren concluded, we're not going back to the days when a Democrat who wanted to run for a seat in Washington had the first grovel to Wall Street. Oh, this brings back memories. This is the Warren that I love. This is the Warren that I love. It gives me a soft spot. It makes me warm inside. I know all the context of the stuff that took place in the primaries and everything else, but I gotta be honest, I like this talk. I don't like weak Democrats. I don't like weak politicians. Tell me what you believe in and fight for what you believe in. Even if you can't necessarily get it done, at the very least, I know when you wake up in the morning, you have a bearing that says, this is what I'm trying to do. Not being corrupted by outside influence. I love this conversation with Warren. I love her not being unrepentant to criticism on this. She's in the right. If the Democrats want to be anything other than these losers, these failures, how do you lose 1,000 seats to the most rabid bunch of Republicans in the history of this nation? How do you lose to reality shows? And you think that the moderates that you've been running all of this time, and your response to that is, we need more moderates. We need more moderates. There is no center, dude. The center is totally a fabrication of your own making, purely in order to create this idea that you're in some kind of moderation. You're not moderates of anything. You're being bought. There's a difference in those things. You're not moderating a position. It's who's paying you versus what your base, what the public wants you to do. You understand that's not being a center of anything. It's called being bribed. Warren is right. Warren is right. Yeah, man, this is the Warren I loved. All right, I'll leave it at that. If you enjoy the content, feel free to share, like, subscribe. You can always support the work through Patreon. Thanks, guys.